Have you ever pondered the nature of suffering? What lies beneath the surface of our deepest pains and struggles? Suffering, an enigma as old as human consciousness, is a universal experience that binds us all. Each one of us, at some point in our lives, grapples with hardship, distress, and discomfort. Suffering is not merely about enduring pain, it's about understanding its nature. It's about peeling back the layers of sorrow and struggle to uncover the profound lessons that lie beneath. Suffering is a labyrinth, a puzzle that we spend our lives trying to solve. It is a mystery, shrouded in the enigma of our existence. Yet, the enigma of suffering is not an unsolvable riddle. It is a journey through the raw, unfiltered landscape of our shared human experience. It is a voyage into the heart of who we truly are. So join us as we embark on a journey into the depths of the human experience. Suffering comes in many forms: physical, emotional, existential. It's a universal experience that touches every life, yet it remains one of our greatest mysteries. This enigma we call suffering can shape us, mold us, and ultimately transform us. Consider physical suffering, the kind that makes your body ache, your muscles strain, your breath short. It's the pain of a broken bone, the agony of disease, the torment of chronic illness. But it's also the burn of a good workout, the fatigue after a long day's work, the sweet soreness of growth. Physical suffering, in all its forms, reminds us that we are alive, that we are human. Then there's emotional suffering, the kind that tugs at your heart, floods your mind, clouds your spirit. It's the grief of loss, the sting of rejection, the burden of guilt. But it's also the pang of longing, the discomfort of change, the vulnerability of love. Emotional suffering in all its intensity forces us to feel, to empathize, to connect. And let's not forget existential suffering, the kind that questions your purpose, challenges your beliefs, confronts your mortality. It's the dread of insignificance, the fear of oblivion, the despair of meaninglessness. But it's also the wonder of existence, the thrill of discovery, the beauty of mystery. Existential suffering, in all its depth, compels us to ponder, to explore, to grow. So we see that suffering is not just a negative experience to be avoided, but a complex tapestry of life. It's a catalyst for growth, a tool for transformation, a key to understanding. It's a teacher, a guide, a friend. But what if, instead of avoiding it, we lean into it? What if we embrace our suffering not as a curse, but as a blessing? What if we view our pain not as a punishment, but as a lesson? What if we treat our struggles not as obstacles, but as opportunities? And what if in doing so, we discover not just the many faces of suffering, but also the many faces of ourselves? By embracing our suffering, we open ourselves to growth, resilience, and ultimately, liberation. Imagine a seed nestled within the dark confines of the earth. It is in this darkness, this seeming suffering, that the seed germinates, sprouts, and eventually blossoms into a magnificent tree. This is the transformative potential of suffering. When we courageously confront our suffering, we invite the possibility of change and growth. Our pain, our struggles, are not meant to break us, but rather to shape us, to mold us into stronger and more resilient beings. Suffering in its many forms is a universal human experience. It is a teacher, a catalyst, a guide that leads us towards a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Yet, how does one navigate through the stormy seas of suffering? The answer lies within the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the act of being fully present in the moment, of observing our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment. It is a gentle acceptance of what is. Through mindfulness, we can begin to observe our suffering from a place of detached compassion. We learn to sit with our pain, to hold space for it. In doing so, we acknowledge its existence, but we don't allow it to define us. We see it for what it truly is, a part of our human experience, but not the entirety of it. In tandem with mindfulness, meditation serves as a beacon of light in the darkness. It is through the silence and stillness of meditation that we can begin to hear the whispers of our inner wisdom. We learn to cultivate a sense of inner peace and equanimity, even in the midst of our darkest moments. Lastly, through the practice of self-reflection, we gain insight into our patterns of thought and behavior. We begin to understand how we contribute to our own suffering and how we can break free from these self-imposed shackles. Through mindfulness practices, meditation, and self-reflection, we can learn to cultivate compassion for ourselves and others, even in the midst of our darkest moments. For within suffering lies the seed of wisdom waiting to be discovered. As we conclude our exploration of suffering, I invite you to subscribe to Urbanthrust. We've embarked on a profound journey today, navigating the labyrinth of human suffering. We've seen its many faces, the physical pain that racks the body, the emotional torment that clouds the mind, and the existential dread that gnaws at the soul. Yet we've also begun to uncover the wisdom that lies beneath the surface of our deepest pains and struggles. In the heart of suffering, we found an opportunity for growth. By leaning into our discomfort instead of avoiding it, we've learned how to tap into our resilience. We've discovered that it's not about escaping our suffering, but about embracing it, understanding it, and using it as a catalyst for transformation. And how do we do this, you might wonder? Through the practice of mindfulness. By observing our thoughts and feelings without judgment, we cultivate a deep sense of compassion for ourselves, for others, and for the world around us. We realize that we're not alone in our suffering, and that in our darkest moments, we can still find light. We've also delved into the power of meditation and self-reflection, tools that help us navigate the tumultuous seas of our inner world. They guide us to the quiet spaces within ourselves, where we can hear the whispers of our own wisdom. Remember, this journey is not a solitary one. By subscribing to Urbanthrust, you join a community of seekers, all on a path towards enlightenment. Here we share our insights, our questions, our struggles, and our triumphs. We learn from each other, we support each other, and together we grow. In essence, we've learned that suffering is not an enemy to be defeated, but a teacher to be understood. It holds the keys to our deepest truths, our greatest strengths, and our most profound transformations. Are you ready to unlock the secrets of suffering? The journey continues, and we're so glad you're here with us. Together we'll continue to unravel the mysteries one step at a time.